Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. One of the key questions to be answered ahead of the World Championship is who is going to be the regular season MVP. Octane reckons if he had to choose just one, he might go the Dashy route because he did win an event with the MVP award to boot, but it might just be a 50-50 award this season. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Thank you all for 80,000 subscribers. Been a long time coming. I know it's difficult to grow a channel really when you reach, the majority of the Call of Duty competitive audience there is right now, and the scene isn't growing as quickly, I suppose, as we would like it to, but there's always next year, hopefully, with a better Call of Duty game. But yeah, look, there's still tens of thousands of people who watch this channel every day that haven't yet subscribed, so if that's one of you, feel free to at least consider doing so. I'm sure we'll get to 100k sooner rather than later. Thanks a lot as always. Let's crack straight on with things. Firstly with this actually, because of course the Challengers LCQs are starting. I think even the APAC one is currently ongoing as I'm recording this. But yeah, the LCQs to qualify for the Challengers World Championships are going on this weekend. We heard all this drama the last few weeks between Doug and Clayster in the league to try and change the format. The league said, yeah, we hear you, you're probably right, but we're not going to do anything. Sorry lads, maybe next season. So yes, the format is still as it was. Incredible scenes as the CDL though actually tweeted out the schedule. Can you believe it? The CDL tweeted out something related to the Challenger scene. They do the weekend schedule for APAC Europe, of course Latin America and North America. One team from each of these LCQs will advance to the Challengers World Championship. Arguably, these qualifiers are more important, not more important than champs themselves, but for some of these teams, that certainly does seem to be the case. Crone kind of does an explanation here onto which teams are actually going to be attending. This is the kind of article here over at breakingpoint.gg breaking it down. So these are the 8 teams from the North American side. Doug's team, of course, down here. Clayster's team down here. Some other notable names as well, of course. Only one of these teams will go to the World Championship to join 2 NA teams that will be there. One of them is Scrappy's team, the Toronto Academy from North America. The other one is Exceed Squad that they put together just to ensure they had enough pro points to actually make it and kind of oust the Rokkr Academy from Europe, who would have been there based on pro points acquired online. They are in the European side with these other 7 teams that you guys can see. Latin America has these 7 teams, I think, that are rumored to be playing this weekend. I think that's it's been a nightmare for some of these players because you remember that one team that moved to the US or moved to North America to try and compete, and then they were told that they couldn't play anymore in Latin America because they'd played a qualifier in NA, so it was an absolute disaster. But I think the D1 actually were able to still do it, right? Or they had to split and then return. So, these are the teams that are competing in Asia Pacific. Some names that you guys, I'm sure, will know from back in the day as well. And the winners of all these 4 LCQs over the coming couple of days will qualify alongside Ultra Academy NA, Team War from Europe, Ultra Academy Europe, and also Iron Blood Gaming, which is this Exceed, Brack, Mohawk, and Classic team that formed effectively because they had the most pro points and they could make it all the way to the World Championship. Now, I wanted to talk about this drama as well because I thought this is kind of incredible actually, in terms of a way to run your company by airing out one of your key customers for your product. An interesting kind of marketing strategy here, but I guess we're talking about it in the video, so I guess it can't hurt. So if you guys are aware of aBeZy, effectively in the Call of Duty world, there's 2 big names in controllers. There's either your Scuff controller or there's the aBeZy controller, and most pros over several years have said pretty much the aBeZy is the better of the 2. It's more consistent, more reliable, it's better quality, right? It doesn't break so easily. This type of stuff, the complaints people have with Scuffs over the years. However, Scuff is the official league partner. They're the partner of a lot of different teams. They have more resources, more clout, but a lot of the pros actually use aBeZy on the download, despite the fact that their organization might be sponsored by Scuff themselves. It's a rather spicy situation. Now, Chris Bailey, the owner of aBeZy, comes out and says this yesterday, days before champs, and one of my favorite players, Shotzzy, who is on a team that prevents him from saying what he uses because they're sponsored by Scuff OpTic, is asking for a last minute favor, i.e. asking me for a aBeZy controller for the World Championship. I'll let the community decide, do we give him one or do we not, effectively. Then he went on to say the following: for the record, I'm a big Shotzzy fan. I've helped him more than most, but this season has been incredibly difficult with his organization changing management styles, whatever that means. So either because they decided to go down the Scuff route and sign a contract with them, or because it's kind of strange in a way maybe that Shotzzy's having to be the one personally reaching out to aBeZy to try and get a controller, and I'm sure Shotzzy would probably pay for it if he wanted one, but it's kind of strange marketing decision I think here from the aBeZy head guy to just be airing out Shotzzy and just basically just leaking the fact that Shotzy's using a different controller to the one that his team is sponsored by. I guess it's kind of expected to a degree that this type of stuff is going to happen, as it has had in the past, but just a strange decision really. Shotzzy, one of your biggest customers, for him to just come out here and basically just expose him. These are some of the DMs when he was straight up leaking DMs yo, Chris, is there any way I could get a backup controller before champs? And then he's like, what is it? I mean, what even is this gift for a player here? Like, kind of ridiculous stuff, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, Shotzzy obviously wants the Battle Beaver controller, but yet his team is sponsored by Scuff. And actually, Chris Bailey also puts this in the tweet, which is Shotzy's tweet from a couple of months ago when they signed with Scuff or whatever. And Shotzzy says, coming in clutch every tourney, shout out Scuff, but actually, he doesn't use a Scuff controller, right? So it's a bit of a mess of a situation, to be honest. I'm kind of surprised that, like, what is the Call of Duty scene sometimes? You know what I mean? There's always some stupid, like, petty drama going on at any point. There's always some tea to consume. It's never the things you expect. There's always, okay, roster drama happens, drama between players happens, but it's always, like, stuff like this that comes along and you just think, you know, this COD scene is just built different, to be honest. And this is, like, a classic example of this from a couple of years ago now. This is at early 2020, I guess, what, 10th of February, this might be at the London event or something. It was around about this time at the start of the Modern Warfare season, and Crimsix is kind of unpacking his controller from his bag, and you can see right here he tells the cameraman to go away because inside that bag is probably a Battle Beaver controller, but yet the CDL or the league was sponsored by Scuff, so he doesn't want to get in trouble by Scuff if the league is Scuff sponsored, but actually the players are sitting there on the main stage using a different competitor's controller, right? So it's all of a bit of a messy situation, but I guess it does go to show, yes, Shotzy's using the Battle Beaver controller, whatever he wants, a backup one for the World Championship, but you know, just the way that they've dealt with this from an internal perspective, Battle Beaver doesn't really make too much sense. Makes you wonder, like, if there's a good reason why Battle Beaver aren't, like, you know, the premier controller brands, like, compared to Scuff, when, like, their departments and their ownership act like this. But, you know, intriguing your thoughts on that one, I suppose, in the comment section below. Let's talk MVPs then. So last season, of course, Simp was the regular season MVP. Should it have been aBeZy? Should it have been Simp? Like, of course, well, everyone has their opinion on that one last season, but it was pretty much undisputed between those two players who was going to be the MVP. The World's Championship MVP, though, went the way of aBeZy. So Simp won the regular season MVP, and then I'm pretty sure Champs MVP was aBeZy. The year before, it was Shotzzy who was the regular season MVP in 2020, and then it was Crimsix, I think, who won the Championship Weekend MVP. So they do two of them every season. One of them is announced before the World Championship. One of course, is just announced afterwards based on their performance at Champs. So whoever's going to be the MVP of this entire season is effectively already determined, or at least all the data we have available has already been determined. It doesn't matter if Cellium and FaZe win Champs, like, that's irrelevant to the regular season MVP, which should already be confirmed over the coming weeks. Now, who exactly should it be? There were three names in the discussion, really the majority of this season. That was, well, Shotzzy was one of those names. It was really Shotzzy, Cellium, and Dashy, but then Shotzzy lately hasn't been quite so strong, so he actually dropped out of the top three in the most recent rankings that Chrome did, and Simp has kind of come through. But it doesn't really matter what Simp does. If it's going to be anyone from FaZe, it's going to be Cellium based on his performance so far this year. The question is, though, Cellium or Dashy? Who's the MVP? And the crazy thing is that their numbers are practically identical. This is from one of the more recent articles that Chrome did, but both of them at this time had precisely a 1.21 KD. Nowadays, Cellium might have like a 1.23 and Dashy might have a 1.22, but their KD is practically the same. Their stats are pretty much identical. I think Cellium might be slightly better in hardpoint, Dashy slightly better in control. Their search and destroy has both been very solid, so from a statistical perspective, you really can't split the two of them. So then maybe it goes down to team results, right? Which team has had the better results? FaZe in terms of averages, second, third, like very impressive stuff, but in grand finals, they always tend to lose. OpTic haven't been great lately. They've had a couple of top 6s and a top 4, but they did win their opening event of the season with Dashy getting the MVP award. So on that basis, Octane reckons you might just have to lean in his favor, but saying that it's just so 50-50 between the two that maybe just give it to both of them.
Who's your MVP? I feel like I would just have to go Brandon strictly because they've won a tournament. But then again, FaZe has also been more consistent without a win. So, like, okay, bro, who cares? Just give it to one of them. Like, it's literally 50-50, bro. Who gives a It's literally 50-50, dude. Like, Brandon hasn't won, or Brandon won, MC hasn't won, but MC has better placings. But the stats are the same, but Brandon's better to respawn, but MC's better at S&D, but this, but this. It's like, who cares? Just give it to one of them, bro.
So I think this is a really difficult one to call this year, to be honest, because, like, I feel like Cellium has probably been, in terms of, like, the actual most valuable player to his team, I feel like Cellium has been marginally more valuable than Dashy has. But whether that is enough, right, to give Cellium the MVP awards, given the fact that he hasn't won an event in the regular season, is a bit of a question mark. Yes, the consistency is incredible. Like, the record that FaZe have this season is also pretty incredible, but is that enough to go beyond Dashy's, you know, major winning performance back at Major 1 and his MVP award? award, and also keeping up those numbers pretty much the entire season long, despite maybe not quite having the impact that Cellium has had. Like, it's always a debate that's going to be there. But can Cellium really be the MVP without winning an event? Like, if we look at previous seasons, the MVPs of the regular season, the likes of Shotzzy in 2020, Simp in 2021, they won, plenty of events throughout the regular season, even before we got to the World Championship, right, making that irrelevant from the discussion. So with Cellium not winning an event, like, I think that's going to hold him back significantly. I feel like if Cellium had won at least one event this season, any of the majors, where of course they placed very well, then I think it would have been Cellium pretty much hands down. But Dashy winning an event with the MVP award maybe makes him the marginal favourite here. I do think it's tough because Cellium, just watching him, like, he never goes negative. It's just insane the impact that Cellium has from series to series, and people are always going to question Dashy's impact when they aren't having the results. And in terms of series win-loss and placings, like, Cellium's team obviously has done better, and he's pretty much the only guy who can reliably count on that FaZe team to actually drop massive numbers this season. But I mean, yeah, he certainly has been doing that. The other way of looking at this, some people were suggesting, is look at their kind of head-to-head performances, right? Like, does Dashy just, own Cellium whenever they play them? And some people were saying that was the case. Now, that doesn't seem to be the case to me, but we'll look at the numbers here and you guys can decide for yourself. So this is the 6 series. You can actually do this on breakingboard.gg, go through and select any series you like. So I went through and selected the 6 series that FaZe have played against OpTic so far this year. You guys can see in the top right, 1 in 5 series count. They, of course, won their most recent one at Major 4, but apart from that, FaZe hadn't beaten OpTic so far this season. 10 and 18 map count. Now, Cellium still, somehow, in hardpoint, as a 1.24 in all these series where they play OpTic. 11 maps, Cell has a 1.24. Simp actually has 1 less map here in a lot of these, just because there was one game that he missed in Prestinni subbed in, if you guys remember that one. I think it was was it Major 2, Major 3 qualifiers? But still has a 1.24 in hardpoint somehow, a 1.10 in Surge, despite getting first blooded a lot. Actually, his first blood rate was only like 33% in these series and barely gets any first bloods anyway, but still was getting 1.10 KD in these matches that he played. He was negative though in control, a 0.91. So against Cellium versus Dashy in the head-to-head, Cellium is obviously going to be behind because they lost the series, but it's not like Cellium's exactly getting steamrolled in these series. And we look at Dashy's stats, Dashy only has a 1.02 actually in the hard points, but it's the other 2 game modes where Dashy was really a standout in these particular series. A 1.25 in Search with a much better first blood rate than aBeZy had, and then a 1.19 in Control, of course, probably his best game mode so far this season. So you compare the two on a head-to-head basis, it's relatively close. Of course, in the head-to-head, Dashy's stats are going to look slightly better because they did have a 5-1 series record against them, but it's still relatively close, so I'm not really sure you can deduce too much from that particular argument. But I'm definitely intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. I do wonder which way the CDL will go here, because I think most like analysts and experts, or like at least if you ask the casters or whatever, or like pundits, they would probably go Cellium, right? And even in Krone's kind of MVP ladder that he's done, even like a couple of months ago, really, when Cellium still hadn't won an event and Dashy was kind of fresh off the MVP, it was still Cellium that most people were giving number 1 to. Of course, if it was fan voted, you would expect a rather different story, but we'll see what the CDL decide at the end of the day. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button, tells the YouTube god this is a good video, and I was like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.